So one of the big goals of Tyler Marsh's tenure as the Chicago Sky head coach, but particularly his debut season, is going to be what he can do with Angel Reese and Kamilla Cardoso. And I thought Saturday's game against Indiana gave us some interesting examples of the potential that there is to manage these two players, but also showed that there's still quite a bit of work left to be done for this group. So let's dive into some of the highs and lows of Reese and Cardoso's usage in Saturday's game. We get this rep right here where Angel Reese gets another opportunity to handle the basketball from above the elbow, actually. I've talked so much about her work from the elbow, working above the elbow here from the three-point line, getting downhill, and finishing through contact. That's a big bucket. If Angel Reese can score that bucket consistently, that's a game-changing shot for her. Next, we jump ahead to this three-point look, the first of the game for Angel Reese. We've seen a lot of shots of Angel Reese making threes in empty gyms. This is an empty gym three, right? If teams are going to give you this much space and you've been working on honing your three-point shot, you got to take this shot. And that's what Tyler Marsh will be telling her. So I think this is a good look for Reese to take. A little bit later, the tricky part here is that Boston instantly is backpedaling. So Boston is not buying the jump shot, right? She moves her feet well, and Reese kind of gets downhill, and this pump fake move towards the center of the court, there's nobody really to pump fake to, and there's nothing she can do. Once her back is turned here, Boston kind of already has her trapped. Reese kind of actually does make an okay angle for attack, but Boston is just so long, she still comes over the top and blocks it. So against a less lengthy defender, you might be able to manipulate that angle just enough to sneak that shot in, but it's not going to happen against Boston. Here's another one, pick and roll action with Vandersloot up at the top. They rescreen, right? And here's the problem with this one. Kamilla Cardoso, I see Cardoso kind of in the corner here. This is not a convincing position for Cardoso. This is not somewhere she's going to be comfortable shooting the basketball from. So Cardoso's defender, which is Boston in this case, is still in range to be stopping Reese. So as Vandersloot comes off for the pick and roll here, once you stop here, Vandersloot can definitely throw the pass over the top, but Boston's going to be right there to block it, and Cardoso is not a convincing threat from this position. Obviously, she can crash once she sees Reese get the ball, so there's an option there. And it might just be that the thought here was always to free Nurse for a three. You've got Bonner's eyes on Reese now. Bonner takes a step, and you've got Nurse open for a three. So it might not be that she couldn't get the ball to Reese. It might just be that she wanted it to go to Nurse, and Nurse just can't hit this shot. So here's another one, Reese working off the dribble. This time takes Howard to the bucket. Howard gets the initial block. I think this is a really good defensive play from Howard. Reese kind of gets the ball back, goes up with it, and I think then she's just rushing because you're thinking Howard's going to come back into play. Maybe the learnings here are just not to always have it be so far out. In this position, Howard is not going to guard her all the way out here. The first step is not as effective, and that's where maybe you see Reese take that stagger step because she knows, I'm not going to blow by Howard because she's already 2 to 3 steps off of me. And you see this attack off the dribble. It's really explosive. It's really nice. But Howard's able to body up because she's already so far and then absorbs the contact as Reese comes into her. If the contact and the speed are coming at the same time, it might be harder to manage, and you might get that initial shot off. Here we go. We see Cardoso high pick and roll. For one, it's a great fight over the screen, but I think this is Kelsey Mitchell. It's a great fight over the screen to just make life difficult for Vandersloot, so Vandersloot can't go into like a pull-up shot right here. But Boston's just not up at the screen at all, so there's no window to pass to Cardoso here because Boston is just completely in range of both players the whole time, and you end up just seeing kind of Vandersloot go up for a layup. There's just not really much that you're going to do to get Cardoso the basketball there. And that was kind of a common theme, was struggling to find Cardoso in the right spots in the pick and roll just because of the angles. Here we see Reese kind of with the ball higher up the court. She's going to get the ball screen from Elizabeth Williams. She starts to go and just makes it too difficult of a pass. This is one Tyler Marsh is watching back film with Angel Reese. He's just going to tell her, just don't make the pass. It's the right idea of the play. But as soon as you see the positioning that Lexi Hall has, you're really not fitting that pass in there. And this was when Courtney Vandersloot had come off the court. So you see the Sky's personnel, and you saw the Sky get really rushed in this portion of the game because they just didn't have that primary ball handler. Another one here, Reese gets it at the top. And again, this is an empty gym three. You take these shots if you can get them. 50% in this game, that won't continue. But if she can make a third of those this season, that's a reliable threat. Again, no Vandersloot on the court. Mariah Jefferson injured in this game. Haley Van Lith wasn't a big factor. You do not have a primary ball handler on the court, so you're trying different things. And Reese being one of those primary ball handlers I like. She asked for the ball screen here from Williams, but the thing is she doesn't really let the play unfold. And that's probably intentional. She's trying to catch Bonner off balance, but Bonner has just not bought into it. The dribble is just a little bit loose, and it makes it just much too easy to steal. Another one here where you've got Reese with the ball up high, feed into Cardoso. So this is one where you get a Cardoso post touch, but moving Aaliyah Boston from here is going to be tough. So as soon as you see this catch, she's got to try something a little creative. Makes the dribble into position, but look how far away she steals from the rim. So this is not really a shot she wants to take. So she gets a little bit creative with it, and goes up and under. I actually like this. I think probably just leaning a little bit too much away from the basket, and that's why I made the shot a little bit too difficult for herself. Here's another pick and roll action. You see they actually get Reese in space here, okay? So a couple things. First and foremost, again, Cardoso now at the dunker spot, right? This is a valuable position because Aaliyah Boston has to keep touch with her. It's also because you're going towards the sideline instead of towards the middle of the floor. It opens things up because Howard's body angle is just a little bit different. You get that opportunity to throw the pocket pass into Reese. And now from Reese, this is a fantastic read here. Just waiting for the offload for Cardoso. So patient. Commits all the way to the dribble. Takes it all the way down. Gets it to Cardoso. This is why this positioning, go all the way back to the start of the play, is so critical. Cardoso is in a believable shooting position right here. Here's another ball screen with Cardoso. You come around it, and you get, again, the space for the pocket pass, but it's actually just because Boston is kind of just giving so much space overall, so there's so much room for a pass. Cardoso goes up and gets clearly fouled. So this is a missed call by the officials for certain. Cardoso gets hacked across the arm. You'll see it right there. That's a foul. So that should have been free throws for Cardoso. That's a good look for this guy that you can generate. Then you go again here. You get Cardoso a touch. Two-player game with Vandersloot. Mitchell has gotten caught coming through the multiple screens, first from Reese, then from Cardoso. There's some traffic there. Mitchell is now not with Vandersloot. Boston has to react differently, and you get this catch for Cardoso. Again, this is a foul. So again, this guy have created a good look for Cardoso. You see this other angle here. That's a foul. Here's another one. Cardoso is open. This is one you just got to find Cardoso because she's got the mismatch with Clark. So your offense has gotten them a little bit out of shape, and Nurse chooses to shoot over the big versus finding Cardoso one-on-one with Clark. This is a good post touch by Kia Nurse, but the defense is just kind of there, ready for it again. So Reese comes into the open space in the floor. It's a tricky one for Reese because the first thought here is, hey, I've got some space, let me dribble into it. She tries to do that, but then instantly that space kind of closes. And now you've got four bodies basically in and around the paint. You just got to try to get rid of the basketball in this position. And that's what she does and just throws it away. It's just a bad pass. It happens. This is one where it just takes a second because Howard does such a great job defending Vandersloot that Cardoso has actually established fantastic position here, but Howard blocks off the initial pass. And because Cardoso is a little bit off balance, right, Boston is able to push her out. And this is where this fight for post position is so critical. She continues to kind of push her out, and the pass drags her even further out. Now she's all the way out here. This is not really a great angle for her to shoot from with the defender so tight. So you kind of recycle the ball. It goes back. Again, loose pass kind of drags Cardoso out just a little bit. And now this is a lost possession, right? There's 5 seconds left on the shot clock. These three players really have no way to get back into play within 4 or 5 seconds. Vandersloot comes to the corner, and I'm really surprised Vandersloot didn't just pop it here. You can see Cardoso just kind of sets a screen that says, hopefully she's going to let fly from the corner. And here's another one from Reese, just trying to attack downhill and finishes through contact. So this is why when you see these opportunities for Reese to attack downhill, it's because she can finish through this contact, right? We've seen plenty of this in her college career, in her WNBA career. When she gets the ball here, her first step has an opportunity to actually make a difference in the play, partially because Howard is already committed to the drive, so that helps, but also because that first step in the jolt into the defender is all happening near to the basket instead of so far away. And so she can finish up and through the contact. The problem with some of those other examples was she's catching the ball outside the three-point line. It's going to be really difficult to take that contact all the way to the basket from there and not get blocked. And that's why that earlier example you saw Reese get blocked. Here's one where Cardoso in transition. I think Cardoso's seals in transition in this game. The Sky missed a few of them. In general, her seals in transition were pretty good. She backs Boston in deep, gets into a good spot. Nice post move through and draws a foul. Again, pick and roll. And this is where you see they're trying to make it happen. They're trying to create that space in the center of the floor. So again, they're running the pick and roll towards the sideline, trying to create that lane for Cardoso to go through. Is there somewhere to pass this ball in here? It's tough. There's a lot of arms. And I still think, though, there's an opportunity here. Look at this matchup here. Nurse, 14 seconds on the shot clock. Spot up three. You're not wide open. You're way behind the three-point line. Is this a better shot than giving Cardoso a chance? If the help doesn't come quick enough, Cardoso might be able to score in this matchup. So I think this is a missed opportunity. This time it's Reese. Here she goes towards the basket, comes back. I actually think she might have created just enough of an angle for herself here. But this is maybe one where you're thinking about a shot block at a similar angle at the opposite end of the court in the first half. And so you don't go up for it. So then she goes for a second move back. At this point, you've now engaged 3 defenders. If you can bail out with a pass to anybody, preferably Atkins, that's probably the best thing at this point is just a pass. I think this is one that probably is just still a learning experience for Reese. Just give her the ball in this situation. You know, you've done a good job to engage the defense, and sometimes that's half of the battle, right? You know, it doesn't have to be every time that you have to be responsible to bring the defensive in and score over them. Sometimes you can just offload. And she actually almost finishes this one, gets a good rebound, leaves it short on the way back, and then she might get fouled here by Boston. It's hard to tell, but Clark gets the ball clean. It's actually a really nice play by Clark. Alone in the half court here. This is where, again, Aaliyah Boston just kind of blows things up. Throughout this game, this was a common theme. So you start with kind of Cardoso coming baseline. She's going to get this screen from Rebecca Allen, but the screen is basically just completely blown up. It actually throws both players off balance. So then the initial action here is just kind of lost. So Vandersloot is like, okay, we're not going to get into that action. Goes to Bantam on the opposite side. And now you get maybe another chance at a pick and roll up here. Cardoso catches the ball, and Kelsey Mitchell, again, really good defensive game. She made a lot of these potential pick and roll type actions just not work. And Cardoso just decided to put the ball on the floor. This is where we talk about Reese putting the ball on the floor. We don't talk about Cardoso putting the ball on the floor from the 3-point line, but she does well here. Finishes up and over the contact. Here's another one, pick and roll with Cardoso. This is the tricky one for Sloot, who did not shoot the ball well in this game. You have to take these shots to get the defender out of consistently being in that position. But then when it doesn't go in and the big is open, it's like, it feels like a missed opportunity, right? So, that's the balance of being a pick and roll ball handler is you want to take those shots to keep the defense honest, but then on the plays where you take them, it's always going to look like somebody was open, right? So I think there's a right choice by Sloot. Pick and roll to the sideline again. So we've talked about this quite a bit, and this is why. This is what you want to create, okay? Boston is now chasing. If you can just get any pass over the top or around the corner or through this, Vandersloot is facing away from this gap, but if she can somehow get it in this gap, you can do something, right? And Cardoso has a wide open roll to the basket. Howard is already like, I've got to help. Cardoso has shown herself to be a good enough passer in these situations. You've got two solid shooters, but it's just Boston just traps her completely to the sideline. So this is one where this is the exact type of situation you want to create, but Boston just responds so well to it, chooses to step out to the level this time, knows the sideline is her friend. You get it to Reese here, and this is a great slash cut from Elizabeth Williams. The pass is just too hot. So this is just one where these are, I would say, competitive turnovers, right? Coaches a lot of times talk about that. What's a competitive turnover? You're trying to make a play happen, just forcing it a little bit too much. Personnel check this time. No Boston, no Howard. So this is an opportunity now for the Sky, right? They're down by 20. It's the start of the fourth quarter. The game is in many ways probably already over, but this is your opportunity to maybe make a run, right? So Cardoso establishes great post position here, just gets inside. Vandersloot feeds her the basketball. This is the situation you want, right? Smaller defender. Cardoso offloads to Atkins, and this is what I'm talking about with Cardoso and with Reese. And, I think Cardoso has shown a great ability for this, Reese at times as well. But this is one thing that I think they can create so much value for the Sky this season is you don't have to do all the work all the time. Don't force yourself to take a difficult shot. Even here, smaller defender, but Clark comes to help, so somebody's got to be open, right? Two players are guarding you, someone is open, and Cardoso has great recognition of that. Great cut by Atkins to just come and react and just come get the basketball. And then if you're Atkins, again, empty gym shot. This is that type of shot. Once again, I would speak to the fact catching the ball so far out, it's going to be hard to beat Natasha Howard all the way to the basket from here. She obviously can't see Mitchell guarding her on her hip, but she can see these two, and presumably she knows Boston is waiting on the back line. Just get rid of the basketball, right? If she's not getting a shout from somebody that Mitchell is on her hip, she might not know that this steal is coming. She might have planned to pass it, but it just feels like a point of no return moment where she comes around this corner and is so committed to going downhill. And really, at this point, as soon as Howard walls you off like this and Boston is there, it's over. There is no way really to score here. Maybe you get free throws, best case, but in all likelihood, it ends as a turnover. I think she makes the right decision here. Like, this is the play you want to see your ball handler make in transition, is just offload to the runner that's with them. It's just Aaliyah Boston has, again, just completely blown up this play. She's in position from the start. Boston is clearly just waiting, saying, okay, you decide, and I will block it. And they actually go and get the ball back from this. Williams goes up again, and Boston contests. And Reese goes and gets another rebound. And then Boston goes ahead and gets a jump ball. It just speaks to the overall difficulty that the Sky had throughout this game and getting Reese and Cardoso into the perfect positions. But I think the takeaway from this game for me would be that clearly with the pick and roll game, they're trying to get Cardoso and Vandersloot into the right spots. It'll be about manipulating that big, whether that's via Vandersloot hitting shots or a lot of other different things. That will be kind of the key for the Skies. How can they manipulate that opposing big? And then the key with Reese, I think, is just making the most of those dribble touches, working off the dribble. That's something that I don't think we saw nearly enough of last season. But I think the real tricky part is setting things up in the right place for all of this to happen. And that's where it's game one for Tyler Marsh. So I think it's really important for this group to have patience with the offensive concepts that they're running because I think there's a lot of good stuff here, and I think there's a lot of things that they will, as they refine it and improve it, be able to score from. Those things take time and understanding, and the Sky obviously know they have work to do on that, and that's exactly what they'll be trying to do as they go into their next game at home against New York on Thursday.